Waiting for the perfect real estate market feels like you're doing the right thing. But in most cases, it's actually the riskiest move you can make. And you don't even realize you're making it. Because it feels smart, it feels like you're being careful, and it feels like you're protecting yourself from making a mistake. So a lot of people have been sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the perfect real estate market before they buy their primary home or investment property. And I get it. Properties and just life in general has become more expensive. And not to mention interest rates have gone up to the new normal of 6% range. And so that led to a lot of people waiting for the prices of real estate or interest rates to go down. Alright, but if we haven't met before, my name is Ernest, I work in tech. I served in the US Air Force, and I became a self-made millionaire by investing in real estate. I started while working a full-time job, trying to be responsible with my money, and trying to make responsible and thoughtful decisions, and honestly, just trying to avoid mistakes that would set me back financially. And that's exactly why I want to talk about timing the real estate market today. Because timing is where a lot of high-income professionals quietly get stuck. And not because they're irresponsible, but because they're just being cautious. Alright, so here's what we're gonna cover today. First, why waiting for better prices or lower rates feels safe but actually often increases risk instead of reducing it. Second, what waiting actually costs you in reality. And third, how to decide whether acting now makes sense for you so you can make an informed decision, not because of being overly cautious or just fear of missing out. So let's start why waiting feels like a smart move in the first place. And so a lot of people believe that waiting actually reduces their risk. And so if prices come down, interest rates drop, or if the market resets, they win. And on the surface, that logic makes sense. But let's look at what really happens while you wait. So while you're waiting in the sidelines, great things are happening for the people who decided to jump in and invest in real estate. So think of this video as some sort of a case study where we'll be taking a look at cash flow, principal paydown, and appreciation since I own the properties. And I promise you I will show you how I was able to build a significant amount of wealth in just 3 of my properties. Alright, so let's dive in. First, let's look at rents and cash flow. As a quick reminder and to get us all on the same page, cash flow is the money you have left over each month after you collect your rent and pay all the bills for each property. And that includes your mortgage payment, taxes, insurance, and repairs. And so in January of 2019, I bought my first property, which is a 4-unit apartment building where rents were around $650 per unit. Today, those same units rent for $880. Also in 2019, I bought a single-family home where rent was at $850. And today, it still only rents for $960 a month. And in 2020, I bought another home where I was able to put a tenant in for $1,350 a month. Today, I received $1,530 in rent for it. And so while the market rent for the 2 houses is actually closer to $1,300 for the one house and $1,800 for the other home, I have been deciding to keep the rents lower than market rent to encourage the tenants to stay in their homes. And that's because they have been great at taking care of the properties and have made it their home since I owned it. And if any of my tenants leave, I promise you I will be charging market rent for the new tenants when they sign a new lease. What I would like to demonstrate here is that even though I am deciding to keep my tenants' rents lower than market rent on purpose, I have the option to rent it for much higher than I am currently charging. And the simple fact that rent goes up over time. And that the cash flow that I am receiving when I first owned the properties are higher today than when I first bought them. Alright, so I know those numbers are not mind-blowing yet, so let's keep going. Now let's look at principal paydown. Principal paydown is the part of your mortgage payment that actually reduces the amount you owe on your loan, helping you own more of the property each month. When I bought my apartment building, and since I am a veteran, I used my VA loan, which is a 0% down payment loan, which means I borrowed 100% of the purchase price to acquire the property. When I bought it, I owned $240,000 to the bank. In January of 2026, I owe $215,000 on it. And so that means that $25,000 has been paid down since I own the property. And so the other house that I bought in 2019, I owed $55,000 on it. And in January of 2026, I owe $49,000 on it, which means $6,000 has been paid down since I own the property. And for the house that I bought in 2020, I owe $122,000 when I bought it. But in January of 2026, I owe $108,000. And so that means about $14,000 has been paid down since I own the property. So when you add the principal paydown of the 3 properties up, that totals up to $45,000 since I own them. Now keep in mind that this is $45,000 that I didn't pay down myself. I used the rents that I received from my tenants to pay down the loan. I think of it as sort of a savings account that I don't have to physically work for to earn. My tenants are building up my wealth for me over time. Okay, so the numbers are getting exciting, but now let's take a look at the last but the most impactful wealth builder that has helped me build wealth in my properties. And like I promised in the beginning of this video, this is the part where the numbers are going to blow your minds. So what wealth builder am I talking about? It's called appreciation. So the quick definition of appreciation is when your home becomes worth more over time because of things like higher demand, neighborhood or population growth, inflation, or overall market conditions. Again, in January of 2019, I bought my apartment building for $240,000. I got it appraised in 2024 for $428,000. And so that means $188,000 worth of appreciation in 5 years. In July of 2019, I bought my single-family home for $55,000. Today, it's approximately worth $160,000. And so for this house, that means $105,000 in appreciation in 7 years. In June of 2020, I own a single-family home that appraised for $162,000. I had the same property appraised in 2025, and it appraised for $233,000. And so for this house, that means the house is appreciated by $71,000 in 5 years. And so if you add it all up, that is a total of $364,000 worth of appreciation in just 3 years. $364,000 that I wouldn't have if I had decided to wait on investing in real estate. Okay, so if we add everything up, since I own the properties, that's $364,000 in appreciation, $45,000 in loan paydown, and $100,000 in cash flow. In total, that's $509,000 that I have made since I own the 3 properties. And just real quick, honestly, as I am looking at the numbers to prepare for this video, even my mind is blown. Keep in mind, this is $500,000 that I made simply by owning these properties without having to actively work on them. I am not involved in day-to-day management because I have an amazing property manager who helps me take care of them. In fact, I live in Texas while all of my rental properties are in Missouri. Alright, so let's go back to the question that we were trying to answer in the beginning of this video. So now that you've seen real-life numbers of owning properties, I want to hear from you. Do you think it's still worth staying in the sidelines and waiting for the perfect time to buy, or for the prices or interest rates to go down? Or does this information make you feel like you are now ready to see what the next 5 years will look like for you if you started investing today? And lastly, let me ask you this. The next 5 years are going to pass by no matter what. So you have to make a decision for yourself and your family. Are you going to be in the same spot that you are in now? Or are you going to take action and take control of your financial future? Let me know what you'll decide in the comments below. Alright, that's it for now. And I hope you learned something in this video. And as always, here's to your success. Keep learning, keep investing, and make your money work for you.